We are in the 2024 version of the Excellence in Practice Awards. In fact, the scheme has been stable for about 15 years, well, more than 10. At the beginning, we changed a bit, but we're keeping a very stable format, which makes it easier for applicants to join, because previous winners become a reference, or previous applicants, or the work you've done before, if you ever were in the Excellence in Practice Award, remains a reference. We will go through a bit the background of the Excellence in Practice Awards, the requirements of a submission, the process, what it means to be a winner, and a few extras, also about how we are intending or willing to support you in this process. First of all, background of the Excellence in Practice is to look at impactful L&D interventions. So the origin, 2008, 9, 10 was a crisis, like we have had a few since. And in normal circumstances, you will get a reflex that learning and development initiatives are seen as an expense. And we started putting this positive light on all learning and development initiatives by looking at the impact. So showing that it delivers to its promise, that it has an impact. And so kind of framing learning and development as an investment rather than an expense. We look at partnerships. So we have always two sides of the coin in the cases. On the one hand, the suppliers, which could be business schools, but also the corporate learning organizations and other providers. And on the other side, client organizations, which also has a variety from companies, large and small, but non-governmental and governmental organizations. So we have had membership organizations and so on also becoming part of these applications. What are the requirements? A big bullet on the right. Submission date is March 15. We are very much looking to seeing both sides of the coin. So we want an authorship paper, and we come back to that, which is signed by both the supplying as the receiving side. Partnerships can be multiple. You can have multiple suppliers and multiple clients. It doesn't have to be a one-on-one. And you can have partners mentioned that are not necessarily on the authorship form, but then you need to have an agreement with them, of course, that they know they are being mentioned. There is work to be done. We know from experience that we have the 4 chapters, we come back to that, but that describing why there was this initiative and what the impact on the organization was, that typically that is best described by the client organization, and then what was really the agreement, what was going to be delivered, and what was delivered is typically best written by the client. Now, you don't need to distribute the work that way, but we see at the way the case is written who has been holding the pen. So balancing it always helps. There is a pre-writing checklist. There is a brief and submission guidelines that are on the website. We work with a word count of 4,000 words. Please include at the end of your submission. This excludes the appendices, and we're not counting the words that are on PowerPoints, slides, or diagrams or videos. But of course, if you make it too wordy, we've had jury members that really got a bit negative about the submission because of the extensiveness, the wordiness of the submission. You can use bullet points, of course. Select your appendices. What you need to say needs to be in the core of your submission. Jury members are not obliged to read or look at the appendices. So that is something you should be aware of, something which is essential, should be in your core of your submission. See if I can go to the next one. We use 4 sections, and it helps the jury if you keep yourself to those sections. You don't need to write things twice, so you can refer to things that are in other sections. That's no issue. The first part is the challenge. So what was the wider issue that was at hand? The second part is the commitment. So what was agreed upon to be the problem to be solved, especially in this initiative? The third one is what was delivered. And the fourth one is what are the indications of impact? You will see that because we are looking at impactful submissions, we are putting a higher score on the first and the fourth of these 4 chapters. So jury members will get a marking scheme in which their marks for section 1 and 4 will together count for 60% of the score. B, and that's kind of a suggestion to be taken seriously, is be open about critical moments. If it looks too polished, it becomes a marketing document, and then the jury is really something very suspicious about what really happened in the project. So the more you're closer to reality, the more people will be positive about your case. That's the experience we had in the past. Make sure that you think about the publication while you're writing it, because first of all, the executive summary, which is at the beginning, will be published without prior consultation to you. So the moment you win the award, by means of speaking, the day after, your executive summary can circulate on the web. Make it publishable and not too general. It needs to be really reflecting the case, be a summary and not just an introduction. Second, if you're a winner, we will come back to you to say, can we publish the case as is? So make yourself a life easy by already looking at it. Is this publishable? Is this clear to the reader? Did you avoid copyright problems? Do you have further reading links? If there are confidentiality issues, make sure you address them. The jury is asked not to share the case or details about the case, and to wait to only talk about cases that are published until they are published. It's even that strict that we ask jury members not to share the cases in their team. It's for their eyes only. And they keep strict to that request. Most of them have been applicants or are applicants, so they know why. So you can put confidential things in because it puts you closer to reality. And if you already know which ones you need to strip out before publication, that helps in the later process. Okay, here you have everything we said about the 4,000 words, diagrams, references, notes, embedded videos, appendices are not included in the word count. Know that embedded videos and appendices don't necessarily need to be opened by jury members if they already have enough information with what is in the 4,000 words. That's the main idea. Images and videos are not compulsory, but they can make things alive. Should be embedded in the PDF. We had 10 years ago more problems with this than now. Technology is advanced. So if this is in, that helps. We don't distribute them as a separate file. Don't overload the case. It's not the packaging that is important. Something I want to add is if you put links to websites or material, test them. so that people, when they click the link, they know that they're going to end somewhere and not on a something which is protected site by your organization. The full paper, including appendices and illustrations, can only be uploaded online in PDF format. You will see from the past that we have used categories and clusters of cases. You don't need to choose. The categories are assigned, in fact, post hoc. We agree with jury members that they will only have to read maximum of 10 cases. So my first work is to cluster all the applications in categories or in clusters of less than 10. I typically use a target population approach for that. That's where the cluster titles come from. But you don't need to choose. We will put your case in the cluster where we think it suits best and has the best opportunity to be comparable to others, and by this to win the award. The declaration of authorship with all signatures can be online or can be done by separate mail. As we know, this is sometimes a very tedious work to get this done and last minute. So submission deadline is 15th of March, wherever you are in the world, as Florence has put it here, as a nicely put. We will keep in contact. That's one of our support to see where you are and to keep you close to the deadline. As a winner, there is an award ceremony and a presentation and discussion of the cases that will be on 2 to 4 October at London Business School in 2024. That's our next conference. There will be articles, a present social media. We will align with all the winners what is happening locally and internationally, and so on. The previous year experience, we can find all the, I think we have 10 years or almost 10 years, 9 years here on the website, where you can see what has been published from the cases. For your information, executive summary is in fact that first page that we published. The full case is the case as it has been applied. The global focus article is an edited article which we make in August, which we prepare by September. So there's some work to be done as of the moment of notifying you have won the award, to have an edited article. And there are, in a number of cases, also projects, which are in fact the projects that were done during the conference as an introduction to the case. So there's some work to be done. We have, at best, we have 4 formats on each case where you can get information. And of course, during the conference, there are the discussions. People that went through this, well, first of all, as a reader, you will find a lot of inspiration here, but as a participant, it has helped to formalize experience, to build on it and to use it for own development, but also for sharing and for some also for marketing purposes. Also, I say this at the last end, but there are some people that put it at the first end, of course. The jury, the composition of the jury is mixed. So half supplier, half client side. And we always want to have one non-business school in the supplier side. The jury is providing feedback to me on each of the cases they have been reading, and all of the cases will get feedback that I will assemble out of that input, which is a 4 or 5 lines feedback, even if you didn't get an award. Something to say is that we will only publish the names of the organizations or the partnerships that have been a winner. Other partnerships are never listed. so they stay anonymous. You will get feedback from us, but we will not expose the list of partnerships that applied. You don't need to be an EFMD member, but if none of the partnering organizations is a member of EFMD, we ask a small handling fee. Know that we only allow cases that come in for the first time. So the same partnership on the same problem, the same program is not allowed to resubmit. For obvious reasons, we haven't got a standard jury coming back to each case. So each jury is what I call intersubjective. They do a long discussions. These are very interesting discussions. People learn a lot from each other and take a decision. You get feedback, but if you would correct to that feedback, it's not sure that you don't get other feedback next time and don't get the award after resubmitting. And we'd want to stay away from all those debates around that. So a one-time submission for a case. If you are doing a same program with another supplier, or if you as a supplier do a similar program to another client, then of course you're in a different constellation and we can talk again. But if partnership and program stay the same, then we consider this a resubmission. You will find the brief, submission deadlines, guidelines, frequently asked questions, information on the online submission on the EIP web pages. And during the course of the submission, you will be you are able to connect to Florence or to the general EIP email address. We will try to answer you by mail, but what we've done frequently, we make a 15-minute Zoom call and answer your question, and you can go to the next stage. So we are here to help you through all your questions. Of course, we can't make your case better. Your case is your case, but we can try to answer your question. Please keep Florence informed. We have our list of expressions of interest. This helps also to connect to you with further information, check in on where you are, deadline, and support, and so on. So we are actively trying to support you. Our purpose is to get a set of very good cases, very well prepared, that can add to the knowledge and the learning of the sector of the people in the learning and development. And we already thank you in advance that you're ready to put your time into this. And we hope you get as much of a rewarding experience out of it as other people had in the past years. And I think then we are open for questions. So I stop the sharing so we can see the faces. Just a minute as I move to my sharing screen. And that doesn't work very easily. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, stop share. Voila, I thought I lost you. There you are. Open for questions. This would be the first call where there's everything is clear from the start. So go ahead.
Jan, it's Eva Friedman from AGSM in Australia. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Yes, good, thank you. I think a good question to ask, and I know I've been this process before, but just to refresh in terms of your guidance on impact and what you think a good submission looks like in terms of impact.
Okay, good question. We did a review of the cases last year, and the feedback of the jury was that most of them, I think more than 80%, could have done much better on impact description. So thank you for the question. It helps to give you some guidance. Impact is, well, first of all, it's related to the challenge and the commitment. Yeah? If you say you're going to solve problem A, we want to see how the intervention contributed to the solution of problem A. So the way you describe your problem is going to help people to assess if you had the impact. If you look at impact, we're looking beyond the impact on the individual participant. So the problem is typically not the individual participant, but the people that are sent to a program like this are sent because the organization wants to take a step forward, wants to change something. So what was that? And typically, I take a bit of a hierarchy. Now, we don't give guidance to the jury members on this because there are so many models on this. But if you look at, you have the individual, then the individual comes back in the team. Now, if there's something to be evolving in the team or in the organization, then you're looking at indicators of the team. That can be cultural change. This can be leadership profile changes or behavior changes. This can be sociograms about improved networking in the organization. There are a number of measurements you can use there. Then this organization fits into a process, into an internal development process, a client process. So if you want to change something in a client satisfaction, we had banks coming, then your measurements of the increase of client satisfaction are, of course, an indicator. If you want to increase efficiency, then you have efficiency indicators. If you want to increase the new products, then you have innovation in the indicators. So these are others, and then you can go beyond what is happening outside of the organization. Well, first of all, you can say it has a business impact. We know that the further you go away from the individual that was in the program, the more you're assuming that you had a contribution to something which had, of course, a wider context. We have had people saying, the organization we've working with in the last 5 years has tripled its turnover. Yeah, okay, you have at least not reduced the turnover. Fine. But so we can see this in its context and kind of take some reasonable judgment about that. So don't be shy. There is a context, but it's also interesting to show if there is a wider challenge, what was the wider initiative this was part of. If there was a cultural change initiative or there was an integration of two organizations, show what was happening there in brief, because that gives the context. Yeah. And in a number of cases, you go beyond that. We have had organizations that are network organizations and that are changing an ecosystem of companies or an ecosystem of organizations. And there you can get sometimes into something which is more societal as an impact. Yeah. But in between societal impacts, which is very wide, and individual impact, there are a number of indicators that are related to what is really happening with what happened in the program into the organization. What is used a lot is, for instance, if there are projects, what was the outcome of these projects? That is typically an organizational impact. But the better you can describe what was the defined problem you're looking at, and what are the indicators to show that there was a problem and there is no longer a problem or less of a problem, that is going to help. And I can say that the ones who are best at that, and that is not an easy task, come very high on the list of getting an award, on the ranking. Yeah. Thanks for the question,
Thank
Emma.
you.
So that was
No,
indeed
thank you.
something which is important to go with.
Thank you.
Well, what is maybe interesting is in the last executive development conference, like prior to that, we made a presentation about what are the trends, what do we see happening in cases, and in the last one, the presentation was kind of built on the feedback of the jury members. So what was seen by the jury members as especially positive in cases, and where were the jury members typically critical about cases. So it can help in your case to see if you're really looking at what are jury members looking for, to see where the differentiating part is. Although I wouldn't too much try to package in favor of something or in view of something, but really look at the core of your case. If your case is genuine and close to reality, it can really touch the jury, and that is, I think, also important. It's not just a rational thing all the time over.
Okay, I have a question then, Jan. So tricky one maybe, but so like if you could elaborate a little bit on sort of how much time should pass after a program or initiative has been finished to be able to sort of like measure and describe these effects. Can you maybe just say something around that?
There is no real guidance on that. It's just the proof. We've had cases where there was kind of an intention to have 5 years of programs to a year or something. Just give me a figure, where already after the first 2 programs there were indicators that were convincing enough. If you think that your indicators are not convincing enough, then I would say wait. I think a lot of the debates we have in between now and the submission is organizations that are testing, are we far enough on this scale to be convincing? Yeah, we cannot give you feedback or guidance, but you can really, we can help you think. Now it can be in the program already, or you can say, well, the indication is about, give me an example, the indication about change of culture. And we have measurements about the change of culture. I mean, we can already compare the impact of 20 people that went through the first 2 programs versus 100 others that didn't go through the program. We can already show impact. Yeah, there's no doubt that you have indicators that can work. If you say, well, we might have to wait because we are looking at new products in the portfolio, yeah, that is an innovation pipeline that takes a while before you get there. So there's no real indicator for that, but if in doubt, wait.
Great, thanks.
Hi, Jan. Pat Gibbons, UCD. I had just wondering if you could give some examples of the critical moments that you mentioned. I thought that was a really interesting observation to sort of get at the real story. Excuse me, the truth of the evolution of the relationship and so on.
Yeah.
And thanks for the presentation, by the way.
Yeah. Well, a few examples is something went wrong with the previous supplier and we came in. Another one is, well, we kind of had to change the format because we were too expensive. We had to scale up from the initial 20 to 200, or we had to scale down, and that had an impact. The scope changed, but also the intentions changed. There was a new CEO coming in. There is a new change in the organization. So, or we learned from the first program that things worked and other things didn't work. Yeah. So that kind of adapting is let's say there is a learning during the cycle. We've had programs where this is what we wanted to do, this is what we did, and it worked. Well, life is a bit more tricky than that. So
thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, this is all very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. I wanted to ask a little bit about the videos. What is the sort of expected format of it and what makes the biggest impact?
Okay, the embedded videos are testimonials or can be linked to a description of the challenge, for instance, which makes them maybe reused from an internal event where the challenge was shared. Typically, it's used to record testimonials about the people who kind of asked for the intervention or the people who participated. So that I think it's used in most cases as an indication of impact. Just know that these qualitative impacts have their limitations because, of course, you're selecting the ones that are positive. So they are not an random sample, which makes it, of course, less as a indicator, less sticky, but it can add context.
I also have a question regarding those videos. Is there a recommended size, like, you know, for maximum a minute each video or something like that? That would be better.
That's a good question. We might be thinking about that, but we have never given guidance on that. But that's a good question. Yeah. Just for your information, and that might. I read all the cases 3 times because first to cluster them, then to prepare for the juries, and that I do twice, and then to also go and bring the trends presentation. I try to reduce the time I spent in videos.
Okay.
If I put it positively.
Okay. Thank you.
And Paul, what is maybe interesting following your question, what I think about, if you could indicate on your video how long it takes, because people, if you put it at the bottom, it's a 30-second video, then you might have people clicking it. If it's a 5-minute video, then they know where they're starting at. I never gave this recommendation, but it would help me to know and to kind of reinforce, to look at it or to decide, I don't have the time now, I read further and I will look at the video later.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question, because we haven't thought about that yet. Also following that, Paul, makes me think when we say step back from your submission, some of you have been in the jury, so you know what it takes to read 10 cases. Just imagine that you need to, in between your work you're doing, read 10 cases and make your mind up which one is the better. So just put yourself in the shoes of a jury member. That could help to understand how to make your case easy, which doesn't mean you need to make it incomplete. Huh? That's where the reality comes in with the question Patrick asked. Yeah. Okay. Then I close here. Florence has a last poll, which is already part of keeping the connections and the list of expressions of interest up to date. At any time, you can connect as indicated. We will try to give you an answer. There might be people joining your team working on this that are adding questions or are entering into this, so we will try to help you. We try to get as good cases as possible and to make your effort worth it. So that's part of the deal we make. Okay, thank you. And Florence, you have a last poll? No? Okay, Florence will keep connecting to you.
The poll is on the screen, but everybody has almost answered. So thanks.
Sorry, I have it on the other screen.
No problem. But thanks everyone for being here today. As Jan said, don't hesitate to get back if you have any questions. You will be receiving the PowerPoint as well as the recording. So don't hesitate to share it with your colleagues or your partnering organization. Since we all know that it's a teamwork preparing this submission. So good luck. I think it's time to wish you all the best for the end of the year. Still a few days to run around before closing the work. So good luck. Best wishes for the coming new year. And we look forward to receiving your case. So those who are still not sure, if it's not in 2024, we hope it will be the year after. So good luck. All the best and many thanks for being here today.
I'm looking forward to it. So see you later. Thank you.